I just want to say that I just got a post on my Google Meet that due to a technical problem, some people will be kicked out. So if you get logged out, log back in. But that's why I was late to class. Technically, I was 1 minute late. The Google Meet wouldn't open. So for any reason, if the screen goes to black, try to log back on. Worst case scenario, I'll communicate to you through Google Classroom. Okay? Okay? Okay?
Okay.
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 Not your fault.
Okay.
Okay. So, Janeth, sometimes called Janeth, The Odyssey of Homer. Book 5, Cyclops Cave, 715 BC. So, Odysseus, the great Greek warrior, is trying to find himself home from a long year's battle in Troy. And they get shipwrecked on Cyclops Cave. Cyclops is that giant one-eyed monster that eats people. And they get trapped by Cyclops. And there, Cyclops eats 20 of Odysseus's men. And then Cyclops says to Odysseus, the king of Ithaca, "Who are you?" And the wise sage king says, "I am nobody. Have a cup of wine. Let's break bread and have a meal. Stop eating my men." So Cyclops has a glass of wine. Ooh, that was good. Tipsy now. And then Odysseus pours the whole skin of wine into the cups, and Cyclops drinks cup after cup of wine. Then Cyclops gets drunk. And now this giant monster with the one myopic eye is vulnerable to a small man like King Odysseus. Then Odysseus takes his spear and stabs Cyclops right in his one eye. And Cyclops is blinded. And Odysseus and his surviving men run out of the cave to the ships to go free. Remember, they're on Cyclops Island, so there's hundreds of Cyclops. So the Cyclops runs out onto the beaches with a spear in his eye. And the other Cyclops said, "Who did this to you? We'll kill him." And Cyclops said, "Nobody did this to me." Because Odysseus said his name was Nobody. I know, we'll get there. So maybe your names are important, could save your life. Okay, well, I can't do Greek mythology today. It's something I will teach you sometime. Don't worry about it. I got you on that. Okay. Good enough, Janeth? Sometimes called Janeth? Who stabbed you? Nobody. Who are you? I am nobody. See how the king humbled himself? That is the Odyssey, Book 5. Easy to find, easy to read. Let's look at Mary Shelley. I found the link. I saved the link. Boom. Now I'm going to go get the link. If I disappear, I'll be right back. Don't worry. Trained professional. Let me get the link. I'm almost there. Don't worry. I'm not going to leave you for long. Just got to find the link. Give me a second. I'm almost there. I got the link. I have the link. I'm going to come back to you. We're here, right? I got 2 meets open. I don't know why. I'm going to close one. Okay, so I think you're going to find this interesting. This is a pretty powerful biography. What I want you to do is use this to help drive your own project in slides to learn more about the fascinating life of Mary Shelley. Now you can see this, right? The Mary Shelley? You should. Right? You can see that? I can't see you. Could you just say yes, you can see it, or no, you can't?
Yes, we can see it.
I don't mean to be crude or rude. I can't see you when I'm in present mode. At least not in this large screen. I'm putting it on the large screen. So so feel free to get out your notes. I suppose I could put this link on Google Classroom. Just haven't gotten around to it. But then again, you can do your own research, and it's easy to find. It's biography.com. Mary Shelley. So you can just find it on your own. You don't need me to handhold. No college professor is going to give you the answers. They're going to give you options. She's fascinating. And there's a few things in here that I want you to know. And there was a few things in here that I did not know. And I'll let you when we get to that point. But first, I'm going to come back to you. I have to say this to you again. My job is to prepare you for college. And your job is to think, what can I give to a college professor that he or she won't throw back in my face and laugh me out of the room? You know, are my ideas good? Is my research valid? Is my argument solid? So what I'm doing is, and this is the Mr. Edwards test. If you say or do something here, would a college professor in the halls of literature at Harvard say, ooh, it's an interesting idea? Or, how'd you get in here? See, that's the Mr. Edwards test. So here's my case. You build your own case. My case is that Mary Shelley had an unreasonably tragic life. She had tragedy followed by tragedy, 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 yet she still managed to write the greatest novel, arguably of all time. The inventor of science fiction, horror, gothic. So here's analysis number 1. Is that the only novel she wrote? What do you think? There's no right or wrong answer. I'm just wondering. No, well, do you think that she only wrote Frankenstein and then quit? Could you name
It says she wrote books right there.
Wait, say that again?
It says she wrote books under who was Mary Shelley.
Can you see that slide now?
Yes.
Oh, I see. I didn't change the tab. Good man. Well, you're a smart guy. I didn't change the tab. So you were looking at the link. I was looking at you. So here's my point. She wrote other novels, but because Frankenstein was so popular, nobody read her other novels, and they were lost to history. That's like a one-hit wonder in a rock and roll band. And that had to hurt her, because she wanted other people to read her other works, but everybody just wanted her to read Frankenstein. That had to hurt. So let's look now. Good point. A for A plus. So back to this tab. I would challenge you to read any of her other works. They look pretty good. So obviously we know that she published Frankenstein in 1818, 202 years ago. But then in 1823, the year after her husband died, she wrote Valperga. And then in 1826, she wrote The Last Man, and it is classified as science fiction. Last Man on Earth. Then in 1835, she publishes Lodore. And then after her death, her final novel, Matilda. She wrote 4 novels after Frankenstein. But nobody wanted to read them. And very few have. And you'll never find them on the bookshelves. You could. Mr. Edwards, could I read these books? Yes, because her books are not copyrighted. They're part of the public domain. They're part of the canon of world literature. Yes, you could Google. You'd have to find a good website. Let's just have some fun with that. You'd have to find a website that had a good presentable copy of the book. You might have to pay for it, but I'm going to go to one more search engine. Bear with me. You can see my Google, yes. So the Last Man by Mary Shelley. It's here as a PDF. So see how it says free? Because her books are part of the book, they're of the free book catalog. There's this one. This one's for Kindle. And then again, you just want to find a good readable copy because of formatting issues. But here it is. And I knew they were there because that's the only way I read them. Starts out very much like Frankenstein. First person eye. So there it is. It's right there. Science fiction, fantasy. So don't say you can't read it. I just showed you how to read it, and I just showed you where to read it. Okay, so back to Mary Shelley. So far, so good. Shelley was born Mary Wollstonecraft Godwin, August 30th, 1797, in London, England. She was the daughter of philosopher and political writer William Godwin and famed feminist Mary Wollstonecraft, the author of The Vindication of the Rights of Women in 1792. Sadly, for Shelley, she never really knew her mother, who died shortly after her birth. Her father, William Godwin, was left to care for Shelley, and her older half sister Fanny Imlay. Imlay Wollstonecraft's daughter. Imlay was Wollstonecraft's daughter from an affair she had with a soldier. So Mary's sister was her half sister because her mother had an affair with a soldier. I got kicked out. Can everybody see me now?
Yeah, we can.
I got kicked out.
Yes.
I apologize for that. I got kicked out. Let me go back to the Mary Shelley. My screen just kicked out, but that's okay. I'm going to start over because now I got too many files open. That got a little bit funky. I wonder what's going on in the world of Google today. I appreciate your patience. All right, back on track. Sorry about that. Shelley was born Mary Wollstonecraft Godwin on August 30th, 1797 in London, England. She was the daughter of philosopher and political writer William Godwin and famed feminist Mary Wollstonecraft, the author of The Vindication of the Rights of Women in 1792. Sadly for Shelley, she never really knew her mother, who died shortly after her birth. Her father was William Godwin, who was left to care for Shelley and her older half-sister Fanny Imlay. Imlay was Wollstonecraft's daughter from an affair she had with a soldier. So Mary had a half-sister, Fanny, because her mother had an affair. The family dynamic soon changed when her father, Godwin, married Mary Jane Claremont in 1801. Claremont brought her 2 children to the marriage, and Mary Jane and Godwin had a son together. So Mary's got more half brothers and sisters. Mary Shelley never got along with her stepmother. Her stepmother decided that her stepsister Jane should go to school, but Mary should stay home. Now, all right, now I'm back here. You're versed enough, right? You have to be versed enough at this time, otherwise you wouldn't be Mr. Edward Scholars. You know that soon Mary is going to marry the great poet of England, Percy Shelley. Yes? Just yes, you know this, right? Yes? Yes? Where's my yes man? You know that Mary Shelley marries the great poet Percy, yes? Janeth, sometimes called Janeth, yes? Yeah, we're losing people. This is a very bizarre day for... We lost Janeth. I don't know what's going on. I did get... I don't hear a noise.
Okay, that's better. There was like a noise, like it's like you were repeating yourself or something. I don't know, it's like a glitch.
Okay, so this obviously Google. I told you I got a warning at 8 a.m. that there's technical errors in Google. So we're just going to have to persevere. But whoever just spoke, and I think it was Janeth, do you recall? I want to show you something that I've been investigating on the side. Do you recall that Mary Shelley married the great poet Percy Shelley? Right? You know that, right?
Yes.
I happen to have Shelley right here in the original volume. Very old, very rare. Mr. Edwards happens to have the poems of Percy by Shelley. Now, help me solve this mystery. I'm going to put you on a mystery. What else are we going to do? Die of boredom or go on a mystery?
Mystery.
Thank you. I'm not sure, so let me tell you, and then I'll keep researching. Mary Shelley, her father remarried, and Mary Shelley's stepmother had a daughter named Jane. Got it? But a younger Shelley, Percy Shelley, it had been known in his letters somewhere between the ages of 17 and 19, he had a girlfriend named Jane. Now watch. When I was opening up my Shelley, there's a poem. I think you'll be able to see it. There's a poem. There's a poem. My bad. To Jane. Right here. There's a poem to Jane. And Percy Shelley had affairs with many of Mary's friends, and possibly her sister. He's writing to Jane. Mary Shelley had a sister, Fanny, a half-sister, Jane, and Shelley is writing a love poem to Jane. Come thou but lead of the inmost cave of man's deep spirit, as the morning star beckons the sun from the Eoan wave. Wisdom, I hear the pennons of her car self-moving, like cloud charioted by flame. Come she not, and come ye not, rulers of eternal thought, to judge with solemn truth life's ill-apportioned lot. Blind love and equal justice and the fame of what has been, the hope of what will be. O liberty, if such could be thy name, wert thou disjoined from these, or they roam free, if thine and their treasures be bought by blood or tears, have not the wise and free wept tears and blood like tears in solemn harmony? Hold on. Best and brightest, come away, fairer far than this fair day, which like these to those in sorrow comes to bid a sweet good morrow. To the rough year just awake in its cradle on the break, the brightest hour of unborn spring through the winter wandering, found it seems the halcyon morn to hoard the February born. Bending from heaven in azure myth, it kissed the forehead of the earth, and smiled upon the silent sea, and bade the frozen streams be free, and waked the music all their fountains, and breathed upon the frozen mountains, and like a prophetess of May, strewed flowers upon the barren way, make the wintry world appear like one on whom thou smilest, dear. Oh, Jane, I don't know. Oh, you gotta watch that Percy Shelley. First edition Shelley. You spend the rest of your lives reading Shelley, and you will always be comforted. All right, now I'm going to try that again. If I get more whatever, you got to tell me if I get that weird sound. Oh, I'm not even on now. Oh, that's because I stopped presenting. I'm going to present. If the sound goes, we won't do it today. I don't want you to be. Okay, is the sound, is this better?
Yes.
Okay. The Godwin household had a number of distinguished guests during Shelley's childhood, including Samuel Taylor Coleridge and William Wordsworth. They were famous poets like Shelley. I will teach them to you. While she didn't have a formal education, she did make great use of her father's extensive library, just as I made extensive use of my library just now. She could often be found reading, sometimes by her mother's grave. She also liked to daydream, escaping from her often challenging home life into her imagination. Shelley also found a creative outlet in writing. According to the life and letters of Mary Wollstonecraft, she once explained that as a child I scribbled, and my favorite pastime during the hours given me for recreation was to write stories. She published her first poem, Monsieur Nong Tong Pa, in 1807, and her father published it. She published her first poem at the age of 10. During the summer of 1812, Shelley went to Scotland to stay with an acquaintance of her father, William Baxter, and his family. There she experienced a type of domestic tranquility she had never known. Shelley returned the following year. In 1814, Mary began a relationship with poet Percy Bysshe Shelley. Percy Shelley was a devoted student of her father, but he soon focused his attention on Mary. He was still married to his first wife when he and the teenaged Mary fled England together that same year. The couple was accompanied by Mary's stepsister Jane. I just referenced her. Mary's actions alienated her from her father, who did not speak to her for some time. Mary and Percy traveled about Europe for a time. They struggled financially and faced the loss of their first child in 1815. Mary delivered a baby girl who only lived for a few days. The following summer, the Shelleys were in Switzerland with Jane Clairmont, Lord Byron, and John Polidori. The group entertained themselves one rainy day by reading a book of ghost stories. Lord Byron suggested that they all should try their hand at writing their own horror story. It was at this time that Mary Shelley began on what would become her most famous novel, Frankenstein. Later that year, Mary suffered the loss of her half-sister, Fanny, who committed suicide. Another suicide, this time by Percy's wife. Shelley's first wife killed herself. Mary and Percy Shelley were finally able to wed in December 1816. She published some travel logs, etc., and then Frankenstein. While Mary seemed devoted to her husband, she did not have the easiest marriage. Their union was riddled with adultery. See, I told you, he cheated on her. And heartache, including the death of two more of their children. Born in 1819, their son Percy was the only child to live to adulthood. Mary's life was rocked by another tragedy in 1822, when her husband, the great poet Shelley, drowned sailing in the Gulf of Spezia. Mary Shelley died of brain cancer on February 1st, 1851, at age 53 in London, England. She was buried at St. Peter's Church in Bournemouth, laid to rest with the cremated remains of her late husband's heart. After her death, her son Percy and daughter-in-law Jane had Mary Shelley's parents moved to the cemetery. I'm telling you, I went to Bournemouth to pay my respects. I don't know if you'll get there. I made a special pilgrimage when I was 19. I had to go. I went down to Bournemouth, England on a bus. Took a look around. It's a Roman city of decay. They got hot baths and Roman baths, and Mary Shelley's out there buried in the churchyard, and it's pretty cool. I highly recommend you go, and it's not that far from Stonehenge. So you fly into London, adjust to the time change, take a coach bus, which is usually pretty cheap, and take the national British coach bus down to Bournemouth, get a bed and breakfast, hit the sites, hit the Roman baths, go see St. Peter's Church, go pay your respects to Mary and her husband's heart and her parents, and then kick it up to Stonehenge and see those cool rocks. Done. Oh, Mr. Edwards, I can never do that. I did it when I was 19. Why? Because I had to. You can do it. You can do it. I worked at Jewel, sometimes called Joel's, for 6 months and saved every damn penny, bought myself a plane ticket, and went to England with a duffel bag and a leather jacket. And then I enrolled at an English university. I just happened to be in town. You can do it. All right, now let's continue. One last tragedy, with your permission. The one woman who's lost to history is Shelly's first wife. Now, we saw her in a wiki search earlier this week or last week. Again, if I do something screwy, just let me know. I'm going to go to a new tab now. But I think we owe it to ourselves if we're going to be scholars. His first marriage was to Harriet Westbrook. He was a student at Oxford. Again, he got kicked out of Oxford. For Oxford was a Christian college. He got kicked out for writing an essay on atheism and that God does not exist. And on 1811, he marries a 16-year-old Harriet Westbrook. He's 19. And I'm going to come back to you. It's getting complex, but if it doesn't get complex, what's the point? What do you want? Basic stuff? I'm trying to prepare you for the halls of literature at Harvard. She's a victim. He cheats on her. Let's just review. They did have a child. I'm just trying to figure out. We're going to have to pause, but I know from other research that they had a child. And Shelly leaves his wife, doesn't divorce her, and starts dating Mary. And then Harriet Westbrook, who again is lost to history. Nobody ever studied Harriet Westbrook. What about me? He completely ignores her financially and emotionally. And then she disappears through history forever. And he goes on to immortal fame. See, that is revision history. From the perspective of a young woman who was wronged, severely wronged, and now we're going to make that right. There was a woman named Harriet who bore a child from Shelly, who had a marriage license and made a sacred vow. And he goes on to immortality. and she's a footnote in history. No more. Not in Mr. Edwards' class. Okay. And then again, there's nothing I would want to show you more than the 2018 film biography of Mary Shelley. I don't know if and when we're going to see it, but it puts all of this in perspective as a historical biography on film, and just how Percy Shelley, caused a lot of grief for a lot of people because of his lifestyle and his possessive ways. No offense, Shelley. I mean, he is an immortal poet. Don't want to get struck by lightning from the halls of Asgard. You know what I'm saying? From the mountain cliffs of Acadia. I don't need Shelley. I don't need a ghost of Shelley haunting me now. Okay. Where are we at? We are taking... Now your presentations can't suck. Oh, Mr. Edwards. Before I was just going to do a few PowerPoint slides and they were going to suck. Not anymore. So now you need to consider this. I hope you can take notes. I don't want basic Mary Shelley anymore. We're beyond the basics. I want a thesis. I want some, I know, Mr. Edwards, I'm only an 11th grader. I want something that you could present with a little dignity to a college professor who teaches a course on Mary Shelley in college. I'm going to give you the following for your slides. Investigate her as a tragic figure. You got it, Janeth? I know you're going first. Does that make sense?
Yes.
We're gonna take attendance. Nobody told me to take attendance. Janeth, are you there? Okay, no more presenting today if it's doing that.
Okay, that's better.
I don't know what that is. I don't know what that is. That's Google. That's Google. That's Google. That's Google. That's not Mr. Edwards. I apologize. I know how frustrating this is. But let me say it again. Janeth,
Yes.
I want the PowerPoints to go beyond basics. I want you to consider the following.
Okay.
Investigate Mary Shelley as a tragic figure, as someone who overcame personal tragedy year after year of her life. Got it?
Yes.
And if Oscar's going to investigate her husband Shelley as also causing tragedies for other people. Shelley, quote unquote, ruined the lives of other people by his adultery and by his excessive lifestyle. And his first wife, Harriet Westbrook, is a victim of this history. And I just want that corrected for your generation. He's a flawed person who took advantage of more than one woman. So, and then you've got the complicated relationship between Mary Shelley and her father. He disapproved of the marriage. You have the complexity that her father remarried, and she had a tumultuous relationship with her stepmother. She has stepsisters, Fanny and Jane. One dies tragically. Fanny dies tragically. She kills herself. Here, there is only life. A child is born knowing only life. Here we study the tragedies of others to learn, but in our own lives, we live each day with radiant joy and see it as the gift that it is from the hand of the Creator. No other way around it, young people. Here, there is only life. All right, we have to take attendance now. I don't think it will buzz during attendance, will it? Oh, let me see how many people are on. We have 27 people on. I'm on twice. Anybody else on? So it looks like there's 25 currently enrolled in class. No, that's not true. There's 27. I'm only on ones. Okay, there's 28 now, so there's 26 enrolled in class. All right, let's look at attendance for today. We've got 25 here. And period 2. Somebody's absent. Alan, are you here? Duncan?
He's here. He's in the chat.
Got it. Brianna Soto?
She's here.
I'm here.
Thank you. Now I'm going to go to the rest of the class. Yo Soy, help me out.
No, he's here.
We do have an absence, so help me out. Giovanni,
Yeah.
Darian,
Yo,
that's how you do it. DeVille,
He's here. He said here in the chat.
thank you. Roman,
Here.
King,
Yeah.
Yanira,
Here.
Janice,
Here.
Crystal,
He said here.
Alberto,
Here.
Abadiah, I saw him, Abadiah.
Here.
Yeah. Oscar,
Here.
Jimenez, Yamila,
Here.
thank you. Jonathan, Mendoza,
Here.
Ashanti Morales.
She said here.
Good. Julian Morales.
Here.
Ashley Perdomo.
Here.
Oscar Quinones.
Here.
Thank you. Omar Ramirez.
He's here.
You're the man. Yuretsi Ramirez.
Here.
Yoselin Rodriguez.
Here.
Good morning, Yoselin. Ray Roman. Anybody got eyes on Ray Roman? Is he absent?
Yeah, I don't see him.
He's
I think
absent.
that's because we do have one absence. Kevin Sanchez.
What's the word?
Good man. Matthew Villalobos.
He's here.
And Jasmine Walker.
Here.
You are all good. And I'm coming back to you. I have no control. I know you're not blaming me. I don't feel the blame. But no control over technical errors in Google. I got kicked out once, and whatever you heard, some kind of reverberating buzz, I don't need that. And I don't want you to suffer. So, yeah, always tell me. Because sometimes I don't see what you see, sometimes vice versa, sometimes glitch in the matrix. Now, hold on, Mr. Edwards, what's going on? Now, we owe ourselves Chapter 5, Frankenstein, the creation of the monster. I'll do a straight read on Friday. You'll love it. The 20-minute read. What's going on here is I'm showing you a different way to learn. At least I'm trying. I need you to investigate the mysteries of literature and the authors who penned these works. In the most innocent way, I pick up a volume of Shelley that I have in my home library. And he writes a love letter to Jane. Thought he was married to Mary. His other wife was Harriet. Why's he writing a love letter to Jane? Who's Jane? Well, Mary's got a half-sister named Jane. See, there's a few things I want you to explore. And, well, anyway, let the poet take you home. This is an interesting one. This is the Song of Proserpine. Mr. Edwards, I don't know who Proserpine is. Well, that's Latin. In Greek, it's Persephone. I don't know who I know. I got to teach you. Queen of the underworld. Hades' wife. You got to give me time. I can't teach you everything in one day. Well, I could try. So this is because they love to write about Greek mythology. They lived for Greek odes. I gave you the story of Cyclops this morning. Ode to Proserpine, the queen of the ice queen of the underworld. Sacred goddess, Mother Earth, thou from whose immortal bosom gods and men and beasts have birth. Leaf and blade and bud and blossom, breathe thine influence most divine on thine own child Proserpine. If with mists of evening dew thou dost nourish these young flowers, till they grow in scent and hue, fairest child of the hours, breathe thine influence most divine on thy own child Proserpine. Now, what happens here is he says she's playing among the flowers. Proserpine or Proserpine is the Latin translation of the Greek goddess Persephone. She was a beautiful young maiden. She was 17 in the Greek mythology. And her father was a king. And her father said, "Do not go out into the forests and fields and meadows. They are unsafe." But one day, in Shelley notes, she was picking flowers. She had a weaved basket. And she was picking flowers, and she got carried away literally. She went too far into the meadows, away from the palace guard, and Hades, the king of hell, the king of the underworld, in his disfigured way, he saw the beautiful maiden and had made an advance to her, and he grabbed her from the earth as she was completely innocent, and he plucked her into the underworld, and he made her his queen, and then she became evil. And that is in case it should ever come up, that is Persephone. That is Persephone. In Latin, Proserpine. Her name is Persephone, and then the Latin poets called her Proserpine. Doesn't really matter. And here she is. See how she's got a flower and she's innocent? She gets plucked into the underworld, and then she becomes the evil queen. And cautionary tale. So Shelley, the poet, he draws upon the mythologies of innocence and he pulls on your heart. Very complicated world these poets live in. All right, so I'm almost done. And I want you to recall one thing. Given the level of academics here and the intellectual rigor required here, stop looking at literature as something basic. What's the plot? Start looking at literature as something that needs to be investigated and start to appreciate these characters for their complexity. Mary Shelley is very complex. Percy Shelley is very complex. And they are worthy of study. I hope I see a presentation on Friday from Janeth and Oscar, and then we will do Frankenstein Chapter 5. We will create the monster in the laboratory. Until then, stay safe and don't wander too far from the garden. Go to your fourth period.